Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our week-long workshop. Nilay Patel here, your design educator and owner of SilverSilk and more. And it's my pleasure to bring you a series of classes that we are just going to cover all sorts of fun topics regarding SilverSilk, how to design with it, what to crimp with it, um, all the different possibilities that you can imagine, and to 10 different projects. This is probably my most, I don't know, the most ambition I've had for a workshop, just to put together as many projects in a week-long format. We're doing 2 classes per day. I'm going to flash the schedule real quick. So this evening, we're going to be covering the Desert Dream Cuff, which I'm super excited about. This is a really fun project and super easy to put together. And as you can see, for the rest of the days, we've got a fantastic lineup of other projects. And not all of it is jewelry. I'm excited to do some home decor on Thursday evening, the Silver Silk Poppies flower arrangement. Probably one of the most fun ideas I've had with SilverSilk and its line of flat mesh. And then a couple surprises at the end on Friday that I'm even going to be surprised by because I have no idea what I'm going to make with it, but I can guarantee it's going to be something fun and cool. So let me show you the project that we made real quick this evening, or excuse me, this afternoon, earlier today. We got to wire wrap some donut with beading wire, and I showed you guys how to use the crimps, some detailed notes on where to put the crimps and how to position them, how to do the weaving here, and some crimping of the soft flex crimps too. So we covered quite a bit of stuff, including how to work with the flat mesh too. So if you guys have a chance, please go check out this video over on my YouTube channel. While you're there, please do subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up to show the channel some love. So this evening, oh, lost my graphic there. We're actually going to be making the Dream Cuff, Desert Dream Cuff. And this kit is pretty awesome. So let's go back to this. And I'm just going to cover the materials that we're going to use for this kit. And as I'm spilling this out and getting it all organized, I'm going to say hi to some friends real quick. Miss Danielle Wicks is here over from YouTube. Hi, Danielle. And Prudence is here. Patty Perkins, always in the front seat. I feel like I see you almost in every class, and it's such a joy to see your name. Hi, Yolanda. And Miss Stephanie Howard, good to see you. Another person that always sits in the front seat, Miss Gail, is here. And we got Vicky Finn, Marianne Doy, can't have a class without you. My fabulous brand ambassadors, Teresa and Greta, are there. Love to see you guys. And how you guys provide so much help for SilverSilk and more, and are a great welcome committee for our SilverSilk Silkies Facebook group. And can't do this without you. So I just want to say a big thank you and give some snaps to Teresa and Greta for me, please. Miss Jennifer Miller, I owe you an email. I promise I'm going to get to it because you gave me a giant love email that I so much appreciate, and just telling me some fun facts about stuff that you're up to. So I love that, and I promise I will answer back. You're going to be seeing me a lot this week, so I'm excited about that. Barb Bellotti, my Tulsa bestie in beading, which I miss seeing you actually, so we need to plan another coffee date together. So hello to you. And Miss Cindy is here, and Dav from Hawaii snaps. That was for Teresa, though. Joan is on the background, so Joan is going to be answering any questions that you guys have, and will respond back on behalf of SilverSilk and more, should you guys have any questions as I do this tutorial. I'm going to say a quick hi to Jacqueline as well, and Miss Kim. So thank you guys for giving a quick shout out and some hellos. I love that about these shows that are live. First of all, I have no idea what's ever going to happen, but that's part of the fun, right? And then the other part is that Joan will bring any questions or comments to my attention and flash them as a graphic on there. So I'll get to see what you guys are saying. So one thing about this that I forgot to do right off the bat in the beginning of the show is that I feel like because this is a desert project, it's a desert dream cuff, I can't do that without my desert look. So I'm going to put on this hat because I did ask in the Silkies group when I should be wearing this cowboy hat. Let's see. Have it on a little bit sideways. There we go. And I have this fabulous hat band that that Joan made for me using the Jewel Loom, which we'll actually get a demo of how to use the Jewel Loom this Wednesday. So lots of fun stuff, and we're about to get a little rowdy, so we might as well put on our best look, right? All right, so back to the kit. This is what you get in the kit. You get a cuff form. This is a copper-plated cuff, and you'll notice that this time around, because we've done this project before together, and I've provided brass cuffs for you before too. But these cuffs are very special. They have a little cut that's on the ends of the cuff itself. This is going to be perfect for tucking in that wire, something that we weren't able to really secure before in a previous project. So I really took the time to find the right materials to make it even easier. So I'm digging this. This is also very flexible, and you can actually kind of, widen it if you want to make it easier to put on. Or if you've got a smaller wrist, you can also, crimp it back together. I would go ahead and adjust it before you do the wire wrapping, though, just to get it extra, secure. That way you don't really form anything later on or mar it out of place as you're adjusting it. So it is soft right now and very malleable, but once you do that wire wrapping, you don't want to mess it up. So adjust it first, make sure that it fits on your wrist the way you want it. Maybe you might even wear it for a day just to make sure that it's not going to be too annoying or too loose or too tight. And then you do your wire wrapping, because you can always replay this video over and over again and do it that way. So you get one of those. You do get, I'm going to come back to the Pearlesque chain in a second here. You do get some wire. Now, this is the thinnest wire ever. It is 32 gauge, but let me explain to you why I picked that out. I wanted to use wire because it's obviously different from string. The way that you tie stuff together, it's a little bit more instant. And just depending on the thickness of that wire, you can get something to be very secure or something that is a little bit requiring a few more wraps to get it to that level of secure, right? So the 32 gauge is actually what I use to knit the chain, believe it or not. So what I wanted to do was combine the delicacy and the delicate look, I guess, and the minimalism that the wire is on the cuff, so it really does disappear, especially as you do weave it into the Pearlesque chain. You're going to notice that it just kind of disappears like string, but it's still going to have that strength because it's wire essentially. And as many times as we're wrapping it around the cuff, it's just going to get stronger and stronger. So I included, I believe, a full yard of this. And you want to be very careful with this. We want to make sure that we don't tangle it or that we don't end up ripping the wire because it is so thin. But once you start to get it to work and that it is starting to wrap around your cuff, you'll notice that its strength and its flexibility will really just play in well with the cuff. So to the best of your ability, go ahead and just straighten out the wire. And it does take a little bit for it to rip, so you don't have to be super delicate or anything. It's not gonna break like a nylon string or anything. But there we go. I'm just gonna run my fingers through it to kind of straighten it out, get it all nice and ready to be workable. And then I've got my chain. This is a herringbone chain that has enameling on the tips there. The white, I think, is just a wonderful contrast between whatever chain you're going to use. If you do have a stock of SilverSilk chains, and I hope you do, and if you don't, you want to hop on over to silversilkonline.com and grab some. You can actually switch out the color of this if you want to, and use the chain and all of these other components just as is. I think it would work well with a number of colors. And this is going to be enough to wrap all the way around the cuff. And if you need to trim the chain later on, you can absolutely do that. But it's always better to trim rather than add on, of course. But I think I cut just enough to be able to wrap this very comfortably around the full cuff, which, by the way, is probably about 7 inches, but I can take a quick measurement. So about 6 1/4. Okay. And I do love that the herringbone chain just allows for that chain to sit in quite nicely there. It's like it was meant to be, right? Alrighty, so I've got some Terminators. These are the 9mm Terminators for SilverSilk. They are a custom end cap. So what that means that there are teeth inside of the channel or the channels of each of these and crimps, and the little teeth grab. I can't talk today. The little teeth grip onto the ball chain core of the Pearlesque chain. So, in other words, whenever you push this in and you're ready to crimp it, those little teeth just grip onto the interior core of that chain, and then you don't need any glue or special tools. You just need a pair of wide nose pliers, but I'll cover how to do this in more detail here in a second, and we'll really get to it. But I do want to talk about the Pearlesque chain. This is a very, very sparkly chain. This is SilverSilk's most sparkly chain. The reason for that is that it's got an interior ball chain core. So if you think of a fan pulley, that's essentially what it is, that little ball chain. Well, I pass that through the machine and I weave over that a rainbow tinsel. So basically it has a sock or a sleeve of rainbow tinsel that's been knitted over the ball chain. Now this looks to be a very, very, very sparkly, very almost rainbowy coating over the ball chain. And that gives its essentially its rainbow flash. So after that's passed through the machine, I pass it a second time, and then the wire knits over it. So it's kind of a multi-layered chain almost. You get that beautiful rainbow flash underneath the wire for the most unusual look. So it's not going to be over the top glittery, right? It's got this nice metallic sheen to it, but with an extra rainbow flash. It's just a really cool chain. It's got a very nice tight knit to it. So it just makes for a great cable chain, but you can see that sparkle in it, especially. So what I wanted to do though was kind of mix things up with my chain because I've done the example piece, which looks like this. But what if we used a slightly different color chain? And that would be the metallic copper. So this one's a newer color that I just came out with recently. And it's similar to my metallic copper capture chain, but this does have that rainbow flash to it because it is now converted into a Pearlesque chain. A little bit hard to tell in this lighting because I've got a pretty bright-ish room, but it does have that rainbow flash as you move it around and see it in real life. But I wanted to go ahead and play with this a little bit and see what we can do and how it would look as a cuff. The technique is going to be exactly the same. So let me move that aside and get all my components here, and we'll just go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is start by crimping one end of my chain here. So what I'm going to do is open this up just a little bit. Sometimes my findings come a little like too closed. So what I do is I just take a pair of chain nose pliers and I insert the nose of my pliers into the channel of the end cap. From there, I'm going to actually pry my plier apart to open up that end cap by about 1 millimeter or 2. And this just allows a little bit more extra room to be able to fit that chain right into it. And you want it fairly snug in there. And then I'm going to grab my wide nose pliers. These are the same ones that I used in the last video as well. I use them for all my findings. And they've been dipped in Tool Magic, again, to give it that silicone rubber tip there. And I'm just going to grip the end cap with it and then gently start to press it together so that the seam of my Terminator is now closed and it's over the end cap. If I tug it, you'll notice that the teeth really do grip onto that ball chain and it's not going to come out. So that's really all it takes to secure this. end. And you'll notice that my Terminators don't have a loop at the end there. So this just gives a nice polished, clean finish and to the Pearlesque or capture chain, whichever you decide to use. You could even use it with leather. I haven't done that quite yet, but I would be curious to see how that would look for a design. All right, so the ones in the kit are pre-cut, so what I feel like I should do is go ahead and cut it to the length of whatever that was. I gave you guys a full foot. You won't be using all of it, but you have just enough and then some to be able to wrap this pretty comfortably. I'm actually not going to crimp the other end just yet. The reason for that is I want to make sure that there's enough room for all of this to comfortably get wire wrapped in place. So whenever I reach close to the end, that's when I'll do my final finish. But for now, I'm not going to crimp the other end, just in case if I end up cutting it a bit too short, it's going to ruin the entire piece. So it's better to just cut it all at the end, right? All right, so I'm going to lay my chain out. And I'm going to lay my SilverSilk out. And I'm ready to pick up my little wire here. I'm going to start with I guess the left side of my cuff. And I'm right-handed, so I'm going to probably end up like weaving from the left to the right as we're talking about it here. But if you are left-handed, you may want to start from the right side and then work your way around to the other side. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. And you'll notice that I'll also move my design around quite a bit as I'm working with it. So what I'm going to start by doing is go ahead and string your 32 gauge wire through the hole of your cuff and begin to coil it a few times within that hole. This is going to be perfect for holding that wire right in place. And you will need to use all of your wire as we're working with it for this wrapping process. And I'm going to use it fairly sparingly up here on this cuff area, just because I don't know how much I'll need to wrap the whole thing. So I probably used about 1 inch of wire. Marianne is asking, Nile, will you be putting this cuff online? I like those holes at the end. No, but I probably will eventually down the road. I'm going to first work on selling the ones I have, and then I promise I will actually get around to putting these up because I love these so much. They're very, very versatile and useful and are perfect for stuff like this. So, but I need you guys to also test it out for me. For those of you that grabbed a kit, if you enjoy working with this cuff, like send me an email or let me know in the Silkies group if you do love it, and I will carry them. That was a good question. All right, so what I'm going to do now is once I've kind of coiled it in place, I've got a little piece of wire sticking out right here, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I could just cut it off later. But I coiled it about 4 or 5 times there, so I know that I've got a very secure hold at this point. I'm going to carefully lay my chain out, and around that first herringbone, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it a couple times. This is going to sort of hold everything in place as I begin my wire wrapping process. And I want to make sure that I get a really good hold in the beginning. So make sure it goes around all of that chain. And I'm going to wrap it a couple times. Okay, so that looks really good. I'm going to do it once more, just in case. Perfect. All right, so now what I'm going to do is actually pick up my SilverSilk chain. And if you want to be really detailed about this, you might love this or you might hate it. I don't know. But what I did was I actually just strung it right through the SilverSilk chain and then sewed it pretty much that way onto my chain. Now, you don't have to do this during every step, luckily. But I would recommend sewing it through the bottom part of that SilverSilk. And the wire, because it's so thin, just really glides through pretty easily. Once you've done that, I'm going to wrap it again. And it seems to have gotten myself a little bit wrapped up here, so I'm going to loosen that. Keeping the stuff separate here can be a bit challenging because of the textures that are on this chain, but if you can kind of line things out and not get it tangled up, then that would be the ideal way to go. Oops, don't know how oh, there we go. Okay. Woof. It's like, I don't know what's going on there. All right, so what I've done is now I've strung my SilverSilk right through it, and I'm going to wire wrap that one more time there at the end. And I really just need to go through that once because I'm going to do that again on the second herringbone. So as you can see, I've got a pretty good wrapping happening there on that first herringbone. And I'm going to do that one more time here at the end. The reason for that is that it's going to give me really good security in case the wire happens to snap over time. I don't think it will because it's not going to support any weight necessarily, but I do want to be very conscientious about making sure that this stuff is super secure. Just make sure your wire is straight. Here we go. And just go slow. There's no rush to get this done, especially if you're wearing a cowboy hat and are just having yourself a really good time. And just make sure that your wire doesn't get super tangled up into stuff. Okay, and you're going to go around that second herringbone and then come right back out. Now, this is about the only security that you need to get yourself started. So what I'm going to do is actually lift this up and out of the way, and I'm going to wrap 5 of the herringbones once. So here we go. 1. Okay, line this up. 2. Come back around. 3. You know, I say 5, but I think I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3 herringbones, and then you pick up your SilverSilk. Let me get my tools out of the way here. Knowing my klutzy self, I would get that tangled into my wire. So what I'm going to do now is after I pass through that third one, I'm going to string it through the SilverSilk, just at the nearest chain link. And you can go over the SilverSilk, but I prefer to sew through it just to get a nice clean finish. And I'm going to continue basically wrapping on that same herringbone and then do 3 more again and repeat the same process. So you don't have to stitch through every single knit. You're really kind of just skipping a few or a little bit of space and distance and then continuing to wrap. 2. And even if you get further out from the cuff, for example, since I'm moving away from the edge, you could even do probably the 5 and be able to have it still nice and secure. So let's do 5 herringbone. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that looks good. So now I will just line up my cuff. And stitch it right through. So it looks like it's about right here. Oops. The wire is quite thin, so just make sure that you go with patience and that you straighten it out. And the knitted wire, at least the Pearlesque chain, is super fine knit, so trying to get it through the first couple of times might be a little tricky, but after that, it is in there at least pretty solid. There we go. It helps to kind of lift it up from what I'm noticing. Okay, and then back down. There we go. You could see that it's secure. It's pulling on the knitted wire, but it's not bending it out of shape. It's still very nice and delicate looking and still retaining its nice cable shape there of being round and supple. So that's really it for this technique. I'm just going to continue working on this. I guess Joan can let me know if I've got any questions, if there are any. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One thing I could mention is that if you do end up using up all your wire or prefer to use a thicker gauge wire, I use 32 gauge, but I think even if you used a 26 gauge, still works pretty brilliantly. Might be even more secure for all I would think, but that's totally up to you guys. As far as wire goes, I would definitely hit up the Softflex company 26 gauge wire because they do carry that. I think they even carry 28, which is a little bit thinner. And those are some really good gauges to work with. And again, this is the antique copper color. Blends in really well with the metallic copper chain, or if you went with the kit color, which is the antique copper, it will virtually just disappear. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I should probably look at my own comments too, just so I'm not missing anything. Oh, Melody, she says, love your hat. You look fantastic. Thanks. Appreciate that. Oh, Donna came up with another fun method. I cheated and glued my chain on and then stitched on the SilverSilk. That's a great idea too. I hadn't thought about that actually. So what glue did you use, Donna? I'm curious to know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm always wondering about jewelry glues and which one's the best for what scenario. All right, so I'm going to straighten this out. Stitch it through. And boom, ready to keep going. This technique is so easy. I would say getting started would probably be the most difficult part, just trying to get everything aligned. To Donna's point, you could just glue maybe 1 or 2 chain links onto the brass cuff and then start to stitch the whole thing through. But as you can see, it's so beautiful and so easy to put together overall. Oh, Donna just said I use super glue gel, I think. So Loctite would be a really good brand and glue to use for securing that chain. Ooh, Taisha, my friend over on YouTube. I can see this also with just the Chevron chain and the Pearlesque chain without the cuff. Yeah, that would be really pretty. I think that would be a super cool idea. Whoops. And Donna mentioned I just dabbed it in places I didn't glue the whole thing. Probably a good idea, just so it doesn't get super messy, right? Okay, I am just enjoying this. This is such a easy process once it's started. Once you really make it over that halfway point, it's just like smooth sailing after that. And if you want the kit to this, I believe I still have a few left. There's not many. A lot of the projects for this workshop are starting to sell out pretty quick, I think, as we're sort of making the projects finally. So if you haven't grabbed one yet and you want one, I wouldn't wait too long. And also, don't forget about our clearance sale. Big section of clearance items that are marked down. some of it below wholesale pricing, which is a little crazy, but I wanted you guys to experience some SilverSilk for those of you who haven't tried it before. And these colors are potentially going to be discontinued anyway, since I'm giving the product line a giant audit right now and seeing some other possibilities out there. So, as they say, out with the old, in with the new, right? Leanne said, made an order during my first live. I saw your order and fulfilled it already, Leanne. So your orders are actually going out the same day that you do order it, which is also a little crazy and chaotic on the back end. But it's just I've got a method to the madness finally. All right. So what I'm going to do is kind of stretch this out a little bit because I noticed that some of my chain is just a wee bit short. So sometimes by stretching it, you can kind of get a couple extra links there to happen at the end. So that'll be a good thing. And then let's see how many I have. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start to use fewer wraps between the spacing here just so I can get it a little bit more secure at the end of my cuff. So in other words, in this middle area, I only stitched 5 before inserting and sewing through my Pearlesque chain. Whenever I get down toward the end of the cuff, I use fewer spacing. I have fewer spacing between the wraps and sewing through my SilverSilk, just again for the purpose of security. So at this rate, I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3, and then I will grab my SilverSilk and I'm going to sew it through that. Now, before I finish it at the end here, remember we need to kind of clean up our end here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it off about right here because I think that's sort of where this one hits, maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it with a pair of cutters. And I need to attach my Terminator. So same deal here. Since I've got the space for it, I'm going to make sure that I have a nice finishing. So I'm just going to open it up a little bit more on my Terminator. A couple millimeters makes a huge difference. And I'm going to make sure that I place this to where the seam is on the side of the cuff and not on top as if I were crimping it like that. You don't want that seam to show as you're stitching this down. So you want to make sure that you move your Terminator to where it just sits right on top like that. Okay, so you'll just simply press that in, grab your wide nose pliers, and then crimp. Make sure that seam is closed and give it a tug, and it's not going to go anywhere. That's really all it takes. I love my Terminators don't require any sort of glue or extra stuff to make it more complicated, you know? So with these, I'm going to wrap these last 2 just by themselves. And then I'm going to go in and really secure it with the last of my wire here through the SilverSilk as such. Okay, and I'm going to wrap it about 3 times here at the end. And I should have just enough wire to wrap it inside of that last hole there of my cuff. Okay, so I'll bring it around and I will wrap it through the hole of the cuff. And I'll want to create about 3 to 4 wraps, maybe even 5 if I'm feeling really frisky here with the wire. Okay, my wire is getting short, so I'm going to use my chain nose pliers to help assist me. There we go. And remember, we also need to cut off our little extra piece of wire on that side now that I'm looking at it again. I'm loving the color switch here that I did with the metallic copper, though. Just gives a nice lighter look. Didn't really expect that, actually, but kind of fun. There we go. I really used up that last bit of wire just there at the end. Pretty crazy. So I'm going to just clip this off now. You can apply a little bit of glue if you want to, which I might later just to make that super secure. And I need to clip off this side. I would probably use a bit of E6000 since it's that silicone glue and it'll really hold it down. But that's really all that there is to this. And I've got a nice, smart looking cuff here that took me really no time to make. Oh, Bonnie says, yes, I like the color. I should have made this cuff bigger for me, but I'm actually going to give this to a very special friend of mine. I had them in mind. Janelle says, beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Janelle. Appreciate that. We got Miss Bonnie. Yes, love the color from YouTube. Gloria says, that's so pretty. Thank you. Yeah, I love, especially the ends again are just nice and polished and finished. And those longer Terminators versus the short ones, in my opinion, are a lot easier to use. Oh, simple yet elegant as always. Thank you, Marianne. I hope you'll give this a try. There we go. All right, I'm just scrolling through some of the other questions that I might have missed. Joan's done a super job of answering all of your questions. So, are you guys having a good evening? Doing anything fabulous this evening? Melanie says, this is fabulous, Neely. Thank you. Y'all are so sweet. Kim says, love it. I'm also just trying to find excuses to hang on a little longer because I just miss chatting with you guys. Oh, Leanne is asking an interesting question. Do you think you could make a hole in the cuff with a Dremel? I've never tried personally. I feel like I'm such a klutz that I would probably screw that up somehow. I feel like you probably could though. As soft as the cuff is, it might drill fairly easily. So you could just make a couple holes at the end and then like even work some extra holes around. And I don't know, maybe that might be a good way to embellish it. Bonnie says, love the name of that finding, Terminator. Yeah, that was a leftover name from the previous owners. I guess that's what they called it, and that's what I've kept. Kind of fun, though. It is memorable, isn't it? Oh, no, it's Becky's birthday, and she's at home sick. Let's all wish Becky a happy birthday today. We love you, Becky. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. We'll certainly celebrate your birthday for you. I'm sure, hopefully you get some time to create at home, though. I can't think of a better way to spend the birthday personally. So Susie says, real feel is 102 in Eastern Iowa. So I'm enjoying it in the AC. I don't blame you. It's getting kind of hot here in Oklahoma too, that's for sure. So let's try and stay cool, friend. Oops. Forgot Joan's clicking also in the back. So thanks, Joan. Sorry, I feel like we're overlapping, but I should let you do this. Oh wait. Well, can I put you on, Joan? Is that do you wanna be on camera for a second? You look beautiful as always. She says okay. You're about to get some fun dose of me and Joan here. Hi, Joan.
Hi, everyone. I love the photo. Yeah, me here.
Yeah, I mean, we're both like, thank you for this hat band. It's beautiful.
I just went all with the sparkles. You need lots of
I
sparkles.
do need more sparkles in my life, and so I can't think of a better way to wear it than on the hat that I feel like this was your idea. The cowboy hat was your idea. So, and the hat band was your idea. So this was all you.
Well, actually, the cowboy hat was me and Sarah Lovecraft.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. When my bead friends get together, it's like, it's too much. The ideas just roll on. Sally's asking where your cowboy hat is.
um, Actually, in my craft room, I'm actually shopping for another one because I'm starting a new hat band for me, but it's all beads.
Ooh. So y'all hear that? Joan is in the market for a new cowboy hat. So if you're in the Silkies group, maybe y'all can post some ideas of some stores and stuff of where
I
some
got
good
a real,
cowboy hats might be.
I got a fat head. I have to wear an extra large. I'm
I have a teeny
serious.
head, so I feel like this one's like bigger than what my
It's,
little head is.
yeah, that's a medium. And I was afraid to order a small because I didn't want it too small. Now it's too big.
It's okay. I still love it. Here we go. This cuts off less of us at least too, so we can
Oh, okay. Oh,
everyone
goodness.
is saying hello to you. They really love you, and I feel like they don't get enough of you.
I don't know.
Despite what you might think.
Well, it looked like Ginger was on the earlier show and she was in her element, but I don't think I'll repeat what she said she was doing.
Probably not a bad idea. Susie was asking if I could show a close up of the hat band. So there's the hat band and all the sparkles. So you use a jewel loom to construct this, right?
Yes, the large wisdom warrior. And then it's the hematite pearlesque chain, and it's 3 millimeter fire polish beads. I think it's jet black, smoky, and hematite. And then I use triple strands, so it makes room for the space for the beads.
Oh yeah, because I didn't show the back.
Yeah.
There we go. Brilliant. So if you guys are wanting to make a hat band, go with this because it's super cool. I love the way that you tied it at the ends too to get these little tassels on.
Well, I wanted to make sure because I was afraid. I know I made you send me measurement, but I was afraid that if I mismeasured, you wouldn't have enough room.
No, it worked out perfect. It's a dead-on fit for what it is, and it was adjustable too, which I appreciate. So, and I think you said it earlier. If I wanted to have a bracelet, I just have to wrap it around twice,
3 times,
a few times, yeah, to get that. So
well, I'm guessing 3 times because
so, yeah.
that would be like if you have an 8-inch wrist, that'd be 3 times.
Well, everyone's just given us some love, so I appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, you can always find us in the SilverSilk Silkies group and hit up me or Joan or Teresa, and one of us will know the answer to something.
And there's something else. Somebody asked how they can make holes in the cuff, and I said after the show I would check it because I usually use Impress Art. Hole punchers,
that one, yeah.
And I'll see if it does go through that cuff.
And I can't remember because they sell cuffs too, I think, that are they can be impressed into, which I think this one can do that. I don't know. Here, I guess I showed on here. I don't know if that would be too thick to have a hole through it though. There
was one I used and I was surprised. I mean, but it was an Impress Art, but I was surprised it went through.
Oh,
so
okay.
I won't force it, but I'll try it and I'll let everybody know if it works.
Cool. Yeah.
Because they had a cuff that didn't have holes. The person that asked.
Oh, yeah. The holes, I'm saying, these make such a difference on securing these ends. Because the previous one that I had, which was just a regular blank brass cuff, try and say that 10 times.
Don't.
It didn't I found a way to secure it. It just wasn't as effective, I think, as putting that hole in. So blank brass cuff. I can't say it like I can't say
I'm not even going to try because I know what's going to come out.
Oh, boy. Well, okay, so let me flash this graphic one more time. And our next class is going to be the Eclectic Earth Bracelet. Sadly, I do not have kits for that anymore. They are all sold out, and I was able to make one for a friend that really wanted one. Oh, thank you. And but that was it. Like there's sadly no more of those. So whoever got a kit, it's they are very lucky. But you could still make this at home with your own version of pipe chain and bead set, or leftover beads, or a bead soup that you might have, or whatever, really. And I'll cover all those materials and stuff that you'll need for that tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Time, followed by the color spin earrings in the evening, which will be super fun. I'm looking forward to both of these designs and classes tomorrow, and we'll just keep the fun going. Once again, don't forget about our clearance sale. I am running a special tomorrow for the Great Bead Extravaganza. It is my takeover day. So if you guys are part of the Great Bead Extravaganza group, you'll see a bunch of posts from SilverSilk and more, and some stuff from Joan, as she'll be helping me as well. And if you're not part of the Great Bead Extravaganza group, get on board, because this is such a fun group, and myself and 14 other companies have pulled together our resources, our products, and our time and talent into creating this awesome experience that we do 4 times a year. There we go. I see the question.
Sorry.
That was a good way to segue into that, though. So, but yes, I will answer that question in here in just a second. But I guess a little quick nod to the Great Bead Extravaganza group. You guys must spread the word if you have bead friends out there and they want to enjoy something of a virtual experience that is bead shopping. All right, so Debbie is asking, will you make any more of these kits if they are sold out now? And the answer is, I might, but it won't be the same exact kit. It'll have the same concept and potentially the same type of materials. But my kits, because I am a one-man store, Joan and Teresa help me on a ton of stuff, but it is all virtual help. But the physical stuff that I put together, the wire that I knit, and the stuff that I packaged like behind me, and then like in these crates that are on this other side that you guys never get to see, is stuff that I do myself. My parents sometimes help me whenever they're, in the mood to help. And sometimes they're not, which is fine, like whatever. But I do all this myself. So I only make a limited amount of kits. I just use a limited amount of supplies that I have. And I might have a similar project down the road, but the materials might be different. So when you pick up the kits from the store today, that might be the last of what it is, or it might be some other interpretation down the road. So it's kind of a one-of-a-kind scenario, regardless, is really what I'm getting at, I guess. All right. Well, Miss Joan, I think for me, it's dinner time. I don't know what you're having for dinner out there, though.
I already ate because we eat early, usually around 5. So that's 4 your time.
I mean, yeah, 5 or 6 o'clock would be my preferred time to eat as well. I think I'm getting to that point in life where I'm happy with that. And yeah, I think I have some Indian food that I'm going to reheat because I made some yesterday.
Ooh, that sounds good. Well, that's what we had was leftovers too.
I like to do that during the work week because it kind of is nice to just not have to think about stuff.
I did on purpose on Sundays to make double or triple. So that's 2 more nights I don't have to worry about.
I've done the same thing before. Like, at least let me get at least 2 helpings out of whatever I cook. All right, y'all. Say bye to Joan, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And maybe Joan might come back for a guest appearance again because she's just so much fun. But I will be here regardless. So I will see you guys tomorrow bright and well, I guess it won't be bright and early. Tomorrow at noon, around my lunchtime. And we'll just keep the fun going, and you guys stay creative and stay excitable and stay safe. And hopefully, if you do get around to creating this project, please post it in Silky's group so we can ooh and ah over it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.